Hi, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're not new. My name is Amy and this is Gish Gets Fit. And it's been a long time since I uploaded. And I'm pretty sure I'm always uploading from this spot because it has the best lighting in my house, and I don't have very good lighting in my house. So today we're going to talk about what I've been doing to lose weight recently. I'm going to answer some questions. We're going to talk about what I'm not doing to lose weight, and just a little bit of an update and where I'm hoping this channel to go. So just to kind of give an overview, in the past 45 days I've lost 9 pounds, so that's pretty good. In the past year and a half or so, without trying too much, I have lost 33.4 pounds. So I'm feeling pretty good. Got a lot to talk about today. My animals are messing with each other, so if you hear something in the background, that's what it is. Okay, let's just go ahead and get into the questions. Most of them are about me being plant-based and am I not anymore. So in case you don't know kind of the story of how my YouTube and Instagram got started, I was part of High Carb Hannah and Plentiful Kiki's program, Eat More, Weigh Less. That's where most of my Instagram following came from, was they shared some of my stuff. And they're high carb, low fat, plant-based as well. And so that's kind of how I got my start, and I lost 60 pounds, a little more than 60 I think, doing that back in 2021. And then I also joined Chelsea McCullen's program, which was Lean with Plants. She still has it, but it's very different than it was when I joined it. It's a completely different structure, but that's kind of where I got started. And I was high carb, low fat vegan for a while, and then I kind of just transitioned more into just vegan and not, or plant-based. We'll say plant-based, not vegan. I transitioned to more just plant-based, not really worried about high carb, low fat. And I was doing that for a while, and then I got pregnant. And I ate plant-based for a while I was pregnant, and then it came to the point where I was really hungry a lot, because I could not eat the amount of beans and tofu and all of that I needed to really get enough protein and nutrients in my body. And I had bad food aversions, and I was nauseous a lot. And so I started eating some chicken again and a little bit of fish, but when you're pregnant you don't really eat a lot of fish. So I was plant-based even through part of my pregnancy, and then I started getting really hungry a lot, and I had a lot of food aversions and nausea, and so I wasn't able to get in the nutrients that I needed being plant-based. Now there are a lot of people who are plant-based and pregnant, and that is totally awesome and it works for them. But for me, I was really struggling. So I started eating chicken and some dairy and eggs and incorporated those back into my diet slowly. When I was pregnant, I don't think I ate red meat at all or anything like that. And then later, I started to eat red meat some. And this started when I had a local ground beef slider. It was the person who was cooking them was the person who raised the cow. And when I tasted it, it tasted like no beef I'd ever had before. It was very different. It was very good. It didn't make me sick, and past beef has made me very sick. Pork still makes me sick, so I don't eat pork at all. If I do, it's not fun, so I just pretty much avoid pork in general. But the ground beef, being local, didn't bother me. And I didn't really have an issue with that, and so I started eating some ground beef. The ground beef in my freezer is from a local guy. The cow's raised right up the road. Right up the road would be like 45 minutes away, but I'm processed locally, and it just tastes very different. It looks very different. It just is very different than when you get store-bought, in my opinion. These are grass-fed, roaming cows that really have a good life until they are butchered. So I have been incorporating beef mostly in that sense. I have been eating some steak on occasion, but it doesn't make me feel super great, especially if it's not local. So I'm really just sticking mostly, when it comes to beef, to local beef. Chicken, it's really expensive locally. We do have some options locally, but it's really expensive. So I'm mostly eating just store-bought chicken. And then eggs, most of my eggs come from local. They're either from my grandparents, or I've got a couple of friends who have eggs and I buy them from them. And those are all free range eggs. So I'm trying to eat, even though, to answer the question, no, I'm not vegan anymore. My dog insisted that she join me for this video. So if you see a doggy, this is one of my doggies. This is Freya. She's a rescue. Nobody knows what she is, but she's cute. So anyway, I am not plant-based anymore. And somebody asked me the pros and cons of being plant-based and would I ever go plant-based again. So even after I was pregnant, there was a time where we went plant-based again, and I really enjoyed it because I wasn't so restrictive. The cons of what I did, which were basically starch solution, high carb, low fat, was I messed up my kidneys. I got multiple kidney stones. One I had while I was pregnant. I got multiple kidney stones from not being able to filter my kidneys out and not having enough calcium and all of that. So I wouldn't do high carb, low fat plant-based again. I wouldn't do starch solution again. I'm going to say something super controversial, probably, especially in that community, but I see it as just one of those other kind of like fad diets that can lead to an eating disorder. Just, it is what it is. If there's somebody telling you to eat one extreme or the other to the point where you're like cutting out so many food groups, I just don't know how that can be good anymore. And I feel like I was a little bit blinded by that maybe. And for some people it works, but it did not work for me. And I would not do that again. But being plant-based, I don't see a problem with it as long as you're eating a variety of healthy fats and lots of protein and all that. You know, I don't see a problem with it. And there are a lot of people who thrive on a plant-based diet. Where I live, there is a lot of great local options too. So I live in Florida on the coast, and so we've got lots of fresh seafood that is just really good, high quality, and cheap. And so that's a really great source of protein for us. So I don't see myself being plant-based full-time again, but we do make a lot of plant-based meals. Like, I make a lot of plant-based meals just because they're easier, they're cheaper, and they're delicious. And I go back to these recipes. I still make a lot of my sauces plant-based. Yeah, a lot of it's still plant-based. I just incorporate meat and dairy and eggs in a lot of my meals as well. So it's about balance for me and just not eating too much of one thing in general. And that's what I did when I originally did the starch solution, was the potatoes. It just, gosh, that with all the greens and stuff, my body wasn't filtering out the stuff. And none of that's bad for you, but too much of one thing is not a good thing of anything. And that's where I was at. And also doesn't love tofu so much, and yeah, so I really struggled, I think, after the initial 6 months. And that's why even when I was plant-based, I gained 40 pounds back from my initial 60-pound weight loss, because it wasn't sustainable for me and my lifestyle and my family and where I live and what's available. So that's just kind of my story with being plant-based. If you're still plant-based and you love it, I think that's awesome. And I love plant-based meals, but it's just not really what we're leaning towards in our family. And I'm just trying to eat balanced whole foods. And that's my approach, I think, mostly with weight loss this time, is to just cut the crap, as I like to say. And that is shop from the outside edges at the grocery store and try to buy minimally processed things. I bought a grain mill to grind my own grains for my bread. If you didn't know, I own a cottage bakery called the Sprouted Homemaker out of my home, where I make made-to-order breads and cookies and things like that. But I use King Arthur unbleached flour. And so the point is to just kind of buy as minimally processed things as I can. I try to buy organic when I can and when it's affordable. But especially like in the summer, I have so many friends who live out on some land and they have a bunch of fruits. And so like last week I went to my friend's house and picked a bunch of blueberries and some blackberries, and so I have those, and those have never been sprayed with anything, and they were free. So that's kind of what we try to do, and that's my approach this time mostly is to weight loss, is to just cut the crap and eat as minimally processed things as I can with as few ingredients. So if I have a rule in my house, and my husband has started adapting this, and I think it's cute, or adopting this rule, if I can't pronounce it, we don't buy it. We don't eat it. And I can pronounce quite a few words because I have a chemistry background. But what I mean is the average person, if they were to look at a word and they have to sound it out and they can't pronounce it, I don't want to eat it. And that's just how it is. And if the laundry list of ingredients is so long, there's Doctor. If the list of ingredients is so long that I have to like get a magnifying glass to read it, I'm not going to eat it. So we're trying to buy things that have 1 or 2 or 3 ingredients, and that's it. And that's the goal. Now, let's get into how I'm losing the weight, and I've got a feeling this is going to be controversial, but that's okay. And I'm going to talk about why I'm doing it the way that I am. and it is sustainable, so don't worry. Okay, so to be honest, I joined Weight Watchers. I joined Weight Watchers about 50 days ago, somewhere in there. And I did Weight Watchers in high school, and I did it early college. I have a history of needing to lose weight and trying to lose weight and dieting and all that stuff. Why I joined it this time is mostly the price point. So here was my criteria for what I wanted, right? I wanted a way to track my food that would make it convenient for me long-term and sustainably, so that I could track everything that I eat and not have to spend a ton of time doing it, and it's something that I wouldn't mind doing. And what I wanted out of that was basically a barcode scanner, so that any product that I'm buying that's obviously not like fruit or vegetable or something, I can just scan it and it inputs that. I also want to be able to see my macros every day. I wanted it to count my steps, my activity, and all of that stuff. Okay, so those are some things that I wanted. Now, my MyFitnessPal and Chronometer, those are free. I think you can see macros, especially with Chronometer, you can. But you can't do the scanning of the barcode, and you don't have a lot of features. You can pay for premiums, and they're like 20-something bucks a month. Weight Watchers is $10 a month for the first 10 months, so a $100 commitment for 10 months. What I get with this is obviously the point system, which I'll go over in just a second, and kind of how that works. But I can see all of my macros. I can count all of my exercise in it. It links to my Apple Health. I don't wear my Fitbit or anything anymore. I do keep a pedometer in my pocket, and just an old school pedometer, and I use that. And if I do a activity with like Fit on the app, it automatically puts it into Weight Watchers for me. A couple of other features that I've really liked is they have a new one called Import from Web, and so any recipe that I'm using online, I can put the link in it and it'll import everything, and it'll give me the points for that, it'll give me the macros for that, and the ingredients, and like the serving size and everything. Is really convenient. They also have over 40,000 plus recipes on there. They have an eating out guide to help you make better choices when eating out. So like, for example, I love Chick-fil-A. Probably also right, this is not about you. I also love Chick-fil-A. Say what you want about it, but if you wanted to see what would be your best options, and it like kind of lists them almost in order, then you can do that, and you can go and be like, oh, this would be a better option, this, kind of compare and see what you would want to eat and choose. So there are a lot of really good features to Weight Watchers besides the point system is why I chose it, and it's because it's cheaper. That barcode scanner is something that I love. It makes tracking my food so much easier. And I'm actually going to put some screenshots in of what some of that stuff looks like, so you can get a visual idea of, you know, what I'm talking about. It also tracks my weight, of course. I put that in. I can track water in here. Let's see. Yeah, and if I never know what to eat, there's a what to eat tab, and I can choose at home, eating out, recipes. They even have a grocery list that you can do. You can connect with other people on here. You can follow people as well, share your progress. Now, something that I have not explored, will not explore, that they do offer. They offer with insurance, what are they called? GLP-1s, the weight loss shots. Not even looking at it. The clinic part of this, not even looking into it. Pretending like it doesn't exist, just because that's not something that I'm even open to. If you do those things, that is totally up to you. That's your body. You do what you want with your body, your money, and all that stuff. I'm not doing that. So how does Weight Watchers work, and why am I okay with it versus other diet programs and stuff? I am not a fan of diet foods. I do not like diet programs where you have to eat their meals, their bars, their shakes. You won't catch me doing it. That doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't. So I am not doing any kind of like Atkins, all those things that you just like, Jen and Craig, where they make the meals for you, all that stuff. I'm not into it. And the thing is, a lot of weight loss programs, dieting programs, diet culture can lead to eating disorders and disordered eating in general. If you have a history of that, I don't recommend hardly any of this stuff, because it's very, very slippery slope. I don't tend to have issues with that aspect, so Weight Watchers is fine for me. But for some people, it can become obsessive and controlling to the point where that's like all they think about, and that's all they focus on, and they're trying to eat as low points and as low calorie as possible, and I'm just not doing that. That's me. I don't have an issue with that personally. Weight Watchers I also chose because I like how their point system is based, and this is just from my knowledge and understanding and kind of how it works. So you get a certain amount of points per day based on your gender, age, and weight. I'm sure height and your physical activity level. So basically you answer those questions at first and you get a certain number of points. And as you lose weight, you lose points per day because you don't need as many calories per day, the smaller that you are. And you get a number of weekly points that you can spend however. So basically, if I were to eat all of my points in a day, it's not a certain number of calories. The way they do the points, they're never going to tell you exactly, of course, because that's their secret and that's how they make their money. But from what I can understand, it's based on calories and fat and carbs mostly. So it's basically a calorie density type situation. So for example, they have 350 plus 0 point foods. These foods are low in fat, low in carbs, low in fat. Any carbs on there, they're complex carbs. They're low calorie. So your 0 point foods are going to be like eggs, lean meats, fruits, vegetables, all potatoes on there, completely point free. What's points are things like oils and cake, breads, pastas, those things that are naturally more calorie dense, a lot of fat in those. Things like cake is like 20 points a slice. How is this helpful for me? Because it makes me really examine what I really want to eat in a day. Okay, so for example, yesterday I had a women's brunch at a church, and I knew they were going to be my favorite petit fours from my favorite bakery, and I was like, I really want to eat that. And so I built the rest of my plate around knowing that that was the one thing that I really wanted to eat. I knew it was going to be higher point, obviously higher calorie, higher fat, because it's cake with icing. And so the rest of my plate, I made a little bit leaner, lots of fruit and vegetables. I did a little bit of yogurt, and they had some chicken nuggets on there that weren't really too breaded. I didn't get any sauce or anything like that. So I built my plate around knowing that that's what I really wanted. So I got my protein, got some veggies and some fruit on there, but I still ate the thing that I really wanted, and I didn't feel gross about it. I felt good about it, and I had a decent serving size. And that's how this is helping me. It's if I'm planning to go somewhere, I'm like, man, I'm thinking I want a cheeseburger, for example. This is just an example. Cheeseburgers are very high in points, right? So if I'm like, I'm going out to dinner tonight, I think that's what I'm gonna get, I'm gonna plan the rest of my day kind of around that. And I'm not gonna restrict my eating at all. I'm not going to not eat. I'm not gonna do any of that, but I'm gonna make some leaner choices in the breakfast and lunch to prepare for that dinner, but I'm still gonna eat. I'm gonna eat, but a lot of fruits and vegetables, lean meats, that sort of thing. And when I'm feeling snacky later in the day, instead of going, I think I wanted some potato chips right now, I'm gonna be like, wait, but I'm having a burger tonight, so maybe right now I'll just have an apple or something. So it helps me kind of prioritize my eating and what I really want. Now, let's go over some things that I'm not doing to lose this weight, okay? I'm not doing sugar-free crap. I don't do sugar-free syrups. I don't do sugar-free puddings, jellos. I don't do sugar-free. I don't do sweetener replacements. I don't do Swerve and monk fruit, and gosh, I hate stevia. Stevia leaves a taste in my mouth that I just cannot get out. Those 0 calorie sweeteners, I'm not doing. If you do them, that's you. You do you, boo. I'm gonna do me. In my house, we don't do those. If I want something sweet, I'm just gonna make room for it in my day, because a lot of those, not all of them, like stevia is a natural sweetener, I think monk fruit's a natural sweetener, but things like sucralose, which are in artificially sweetened stuff a lot of times, that's Splenda. It's all chemicals, aspartame, chemicals. My husband was getting bad headaches, and he was drinking these carbonated waters that had aspartame, and I was like, cut those out and I bet you'll feel better. So we just don't do the chemicals. If I want something sweet, I'm just gonna eat the sweet thing. In my house, we have honey, agave, maple syrup, and organic cane sugar. We're just gonna have the sweet thing. It is what it is. In my coffee, I don't drink sugar in it anyway. If I drink coffee, it's just a decaf coffee with either half and half or like a milk of some sort. I don't put any sugar in that anyway. So, but if I were to, I just put some real maple syrup in there. I just make room for that in my day. Something else I don't do is I don't weigh my food. When I'm tracking my food every day, I'm estimating it. Now, if I'm eating something that I don't normally eat and I have no idea what the serving size would look like. Okay, for example, I've started eating Parmesan cheese. I love Parmesan cheese, like from the block. I had no idea what an ounce of Parmesan cheese looked like because I shave it with a peeler. And so I did weigh it the one time. Now I know what it looks like. I just estimate it. Now, if I get skinny bitty and start to lose a lot of weight, those few calories are gonna matter, but right now, to me, they just don't. So I don't do it. If I'm eating chips and they're in like a big bag and I want a serving, I do count those out. Pretzels, I'll count those out, just so I'm not just piling them on. But everything else, I'm pretty much estimating. I don't weigh my stuff. If you do, that's awesome. Again, if you do any of this, that's totally fine. I'm telling you what I do. I'm telling you how I'm losing my weight. You do it how you're doing it. And if it works for you, that's awesome. But I'm not weighing it. I follow this one girl on Instagram. I really like her content. She even weighs out her coffee and her sugar-free syrup and stuff. It's just not gonna be me. I just don't have the mental capacity to do that, and that's okay. And it's working for me right now. And would it be even more accurate if I did? Absolutely. But I'm not gonna do it. I just know I'm not. So I don't weigh out anything. I rarely measure anything. Sometimes I'll measure anything. I'll get like a half cup out or whatever, just so I can know that I'm eating like a decent amount of it, you know what I mean? Just to help me with serving size, but I'm not getting the food scale out for everything. It's just not happening. I eyeball it all. But I am a baker and a cook, so I know what measurements look like. If you have no idea what a tablespoon looks like, it would probably be very helpful to measure out. Also, it is helpful to measure those things that are very calorie dense. So for example, if you eat peanut butter, I don't eat peanut butter, but if you did, it would probably be helpful to measure a tablespoon, because what you think is a tablespoon and what's actually a tablespoon of peanut butter can be very different. And the calories in something like that and the fat can be very different, because peanut butter is very calorie dense. Or like nuts, if you're eating a handful of nuts, like our handfuls can look very different, and one can be 300 calories and one can be 100 calories, and it would be very easy to go overboard with that. So if you eat those kind of things, it may be helpful, but I'm not typically eating those kind of things anyway. I have a zinc intolerance, so I don't eat very many nuts. I don't eat peanut butter, and it's also just high in fat and calories. So if I were to get, I'd be PB fit, but I don't eat peanut butter anyway. So that's the thing, is I don't eat a lot in general of these super high calorie, high fat things. And if I do, it's a rare occasion. So I don't really have to worry about measuring it out too much anyway. Third thing I don't do is low fat stuff. I've got a couple of products that are low fat, like the Greek yogurt I get is non-fat. I've got a low fat cottage cheese in there. But in general, I'm not looking for it to be low fat. A milk that I'm drinking is like 2%. It's an ultra filtered one. It has more protein per cup. I don't really know how that works, to be honest, but I like it better. Makes me feel better. There's a couple extra grams of protein, but low fat in general. I'm not buying low fat Parmesan, if that even exists. I'm just eating the real thing. You know what I mean? Again, I'm just gonna make it work in my day. So, oh yeah, protein. I really like, obviously, protein. I think it's great. I think a lot of people overdo it and obsess about it too much, especially in the weight loss community. Now, if you are a bodybuilder, you are a weightlifter, you probably have different needs than I do. I am not those things. I don't do that. Protein for me, what you're not gonna catch me doing is putting a scoop of protein powder in everything. I'm not doing it. And this, again, if you do this, I'm not shaming you for it. I'm not saying, not judging you for it, but I'm not putting a scoop of protein in my already protein dense Greek yogurt. It's just not happening. The only time you're gonna see me make some of the protein powder is the protein powder smoothie. And that's just to get something in. So I'm not adding protein to everything. Not everything has to have 1,000,000 grams of protein. It just doesn't. We're adding protein so much. Gosh, your kidneys weren't meant for this. Kidneys are sensitive little organs, and they were not meant for this. If you're weightlifting and you're burning that and you need all this protein, that could be different, but I don't. I don't need it all. I eat about 120 grams of protein right now. I saw this thing on this calculator I was looking at for how many calories I maintain. So if I were to maintain my weight, I would need 2,900 and some change calories a day. Almost 3,000 calories a day to maintain my 250 pounds. Okay, nuts, right? Well, it was like, you need 240 grams of protein a day. And I was like, excuse me? I do not need 240 grams of protein in a day. There is absolutely no reason for that. Bonkers. Bonkers. Not doing it. I get about 120 on an average day. Sometimes it's a little below 100, around the 90s. Sometimes it's 130. It just depends. I'm not adding protein to everything. Now, do I try to focus on getting a good amount in via natural food sources? Yes, but we're not adding protein powder and collagen powder to absolutely everything, okay? Now, the milk that I buy, I did say it was high in protein because it's filtered or something like that. Totally fine with me. Nothing's added. It's just filtered or whatever. But this dehydrated protein situation is getting out of hand. If I want a snack, I'm not eating a protein bar. It's just got weird stuff in it most of the time. I don't buy protein bars. I think they're expensive and a waste of money and time. And I think they taste bad overall. Luna bars, I do like Luna bars. They're pretty good. But I don't like things that taste like protein. So if I'm hungry and I want a snack, I will more than likely literally just eat a piece of chicken or a piece of cheese or a hard-boiled egg or something, then look for a protein bar. I would rather eat a one ingredient thing. See what I'm saying? So that's kind of my philosophy on that. So right now I get, I think, 33 points per day on Weight Watchers, but you've got all these 0 point food items. So like the non-fat Greek yogurt, 0 points. Eggs, fruit, veggies. So my breakfast is usually like 2 or 3 points, if that. Sourdough bread is actually kind of low on there, so that's not an issue for me. Muffins are pretty high because they're high in sugar, and you usually put butter or oil in muffins. So what I also like is that it makes it easy to make swaps. It makes me more cognizant of what I'm putting in my body and how much of it, and just portion sizes. I think that's been the biggest thing for me, is like I eat chocolate pretty much every single day, but I just eat like one piece of chocolate, you know what I mean? Also, I eat popcorn every day. I love popcorn. Popcorn is 0 points if you air pop it. If not, you have to account for the oil. It's not a big deal. I just use very little oil and I pop my popcorn. And it's delicious, and it's a great snack for me. So that's what I'm doing to lose weight. As far as exercise, I'm just walking. I have a walking pad that I try to get on at least 3 times a week before my son wakes up in the morning. I just pull it out from under my bed, and I have my Bible on my phone. I read my Bible on my phone, and then I'll read on my Kindle if I have time. I try to do 30 minutes of that. We live next door, a street over, I guess I should say, from a park. So we like to take family walks to the park in the afternoons. We like to take our son to the park on the weekends and play and run around. So I just walk. Again, I have the pedometer that I can track my steps with. I have some free weights like dumbbells in my room, but I don't really use them very much. I used to do a lot of yoga. I had a surgery in September and then a surgery in March, by the way. So I haven't filmed in a while. Yeah, I had surgery in the same spot twice. So I don't do a lot of yoga yet. I've just been walking. So that's been fun, having 2 surgeries basically back to back within a few months of each other. So that's been a little difficult. As far as where I'm going with this YouTube channel, I would like to film more. I would like to upload more. I'm still figuring out how to make that work though. So I have a 2-year-old son. I am an Amazon influencer, and I will go over what that means just very briefly actually right now. So I basically, anything that I own that's from Amazon, I can scan on Amazon. Anything I buy on Amazon, I can post a video review for. And if anybody sees that video, watches it, makes a purchase either from that exact same product or a product in that category within 24 hours, I get a small commission. And my commission, their percentages based on the categories. Sometimes they do specials. So for example, this camera that I'm filming on, I've posted a video review. Somebody bought my camera. This is about $1,000 camera. I made 20 bucks. One video. Or one person. So, and I had already bought this camera years ago. So this is nothing new. Anything in my house that I already currently own, I can just post a video review. And to do this, I watched a course and went through it. Her name is Chantel, and I will link it down below. I have an affiliate link with her course. If you purchase the course, I do get 70% of that purchase price. I'm just going to be very upfront with you. This course does not guarantee you acceptance into Amazon Influencer Program. It teaches you how to do it, how to get in, and how to give it your best shot to get in. I already had an Amazon storefront for a few years, so I just had to upload my audition videos and pass the auditions. And then I can upload. I also get sent stuff from brands on occasion. My cat is moving the camera. I get sent brand stuff on occasions where they'll send me their free product. They pay me very small, like $10 to $15 per video fee, and then also get commissions if somebody buys that product through my link on Amazon. So I get triple basically, because if the product's big enough, I can just sell it on Facebook Marketplace. But I haven't done that yet. All the stuff I've been gifted, I've kept. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But that takes a little bit of time during my day. And then I also, my cat is rubbing against the tripod. I have my in-home bakery. So I'm making orders several times a week. Yesterday for that women's thing, I did a couple batches of scones. And then I'm a mom to a 2-year-old little boy. So I'm pretty busy, but I really want to make it work to do more YouTube. The thing is, the lighting in my house is also really, really bad. I'm sitting in the one place that has good lighting, and it's not my kitchen. And my kitchen is where I need to film most of these videos. So it's a little bit difficult to figure out how to make that work. So I'm gonna make a conscious effort to upload more videos. My dog is torturing the cat. Hey, right back up. I'm gonna make a conscious effort to upload more here, and because it's been a long time since I uploaded, and that was not my intention. But also I had that surgery, so life is unpredictable. I've been off my anxiety medicine for 5 months now. I documented that on Instagram, and I think I've talked about it on here. Got off of that in December. Some days are really bad anxiety days. Some days I just feel crippled by it, to be honest, and some days I feel totally fine. So it's a wild ride. It's a wild ride. But if you want to see more daily content, it's going to be on Instagram. I also have a second channel that I haven't really posted much on, but plan to upload some recipe videos too for the Sprouted Homemaker. So this was super rambly. I hope you got something out of it, but this is how I'm doing weight loss. I think Weight Watchers is good for me at this point in my life. I like it. I like the convenience of it. I'm seeing results. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but I mentioned this before for sure. I have PCOS. Losing weight is very, very hard for me. For example, I even stayed within my calories 1 week, but I went out to eat twice and I gained weight even though I was within my calories. Like, it's so easy. My body holds fluid a lot, inflammation. I'm insulin resistant. So losing weight is really, it's pain and it's hard and it's slow. So even though I'm eating in about 1,000 calorie deficit a day, to be honest, which should be 2 pounds a week, I'm averaging about 1 pound a week, a little bit more, maybe like 1.25. So it's really hard and frustrating at times, but I know that this is going to be something that I can maintain because I don't feel deprived. I'm eating what I want pretty much when I want, watching portion sizes, trying to make choices that align with what my goals are, and learning to say no to myself. There's nothing wrong with treats and stuff, but I don't like the idea of cheat meals. I don't like the idea of cheat days. I don't want to demonize food. Nothing is good versus bad, but there are just better choices, and that's what I'm trying to do, is an 80-20, make the better choice 80% of the time. You know what I mean? And have the cake 20% of the time. So that's what I'm doing. Cleo would like to be in the video. Oh, Cleo. This is my cat, Cleopatra. Oh, she got hair everywhere. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. Give me a follow on here, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram. And if you are interested in more about that Amazon course, I will pop my affiliate link down below so that you can look at that, and also my Amazon storefront. I have lots of lists on there. Any food products, clothing, house stuff, anything that you probably want to know about my life and anything that I review, I save on there. And so I will link my Amazon storefront down below as well. So if you're ever interested in anything you see that I mentioned maybe in a video, it'll always be on there. Thank you so much. I love you, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye.